But you're right.
Yeah, all good, mate. You?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Good.
So I've got the full band, or I've got three of you. I've got four. I've got
Three. I don't think four of us could get in this camera angle. So.
I really hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, and click the bell to be notified of more fantastic music content just like this.
Welcome to the Need to Know Music Show with me, Ronan McManus, here on Switchbox TV. And today I'm joined by Sweet Jonny, a band who describe themselves as a gutter garage band from a do-nothing town, your new nightmare neighbours. I'd be happy enough to hear your music coming from next door, to be fair, lads.
Yeah, my neighbours were not very happy to have us living next door.
Are you known for stealing lawnmowers or something?
Just being very loud and playing the same songs over and over again. I mean, in other words, we were practicing for the album, so.
Oh, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, but that's why the reason why rehearsals they don't have audiences. They're not that interesting, are they?
Yeah.
So, how are you, lads?
Yeah, good. Yeah, we're not as busy as we usually are. We'd like to be busier, but it's the same situation throughout the whole business, really.
Yeah, I mean, how sort of 2020? What plans did 2020 ruin for you?
Oh, we had
gigs mainly.
Yeah. We had the Belgian tour booked. Also was asked. I've got a mate who's offered to put us on over New York as well, but that's obviously no chance of that happening now. So it's all a little bit up in the air. Anything else we missed this year, which we were supposed to be doing?
Well, recording, practice.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
Pretty much everything that a band could do. Yeah,
it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, completely fucked. But.
I do love playing Belgium. I mean, is that a place you guys go regularly?
Johnny's our Belgian man. He's even drinking a Belgian beer right now. So
represent.
Yeah, well, it was the last stop on our tour, our European tour, and it was probably the best beer of the whole trip. So definitely one we want to go back to. We met a couple of bands out there as well who we want to hook up and do a couple of shows with. So yeah, a bit of a shame really, but that'll happen next year.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a friend of mine who puts on gigs out there and he brews his own beer. But I haven't drunk now for 3 years. But I think that may have been a reason. But it was just because I really enjoyed my tours out there. Fantastic. I mean, they love their music, and I think it's maybe an underrated music country. I think as far as touring goes.
Yeah, just like all really professional as well about it. Like everyone's well on the fees, well on the beers, well on treating you really well. So it's just a really nice place to go to. Really appreciative.
So what's been happening as far as releasing? Did you have any releases planned for this year, or was that kind of all out the way? What have you been doing in terms of releasing music?
We were supposed to do. We had our second album planned for this year. So we finished our. We did a little live EP just the end of last year, just to keep it ticking over. And then we had a full album planned for this year, pretty later this year, sort of November time. We're thinking now we might record a couple of singles off it and release them, just because I think that's probably the best thing we can do right now.
Yeah.
Because rather than you want to tour an album really, and you want to get that out there and play around with it. But I think if we we know the ones we want to release. Yeah. So I think that's what we'll do.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a lot of the strategy's changed a bit because you can't back up with touring. Doesn't seem to be much point to put out a full album. So putting out some singles and trying to get people to sort of engage that way and find some new people. Bringing him in. But yeah, so that seems to be a kind of quite a well-trodden sort of path as far as strategy goes. You know, get go back to singles, which is it's not a new concept, but it seems to fit this time.
Yeah, that is true. It has sort of come around at the right time to be able to release what we kind of want to release. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about that, to see how a single does rather than an album. And we can just put it on the back burner and we can still bring the album together as and when. So not too bad.
It seems like live is kind of like a major part of what you do, from what I've seen. I've been researching a lot about you, and everyone talks about the gigs. I mean, they talk about this, like the energy, and you see, you guys seem to just be out on the road all the time. Is that kind of a fair reflection on your band life?
I'd say definitely. Yeah, live is really where the lifeblood is for us. We've been like constantly gigging and touring pretty much every year which we do it. But in a way, it's been kind of nice to have a little bit of break. I think, like you said earlier, Johnny, you said like a rest kind of thing.
Yeah, you enjoy it once you've had a bit of a break. You know, coming back to it, you enjoy it more.
Yeah, you kind of come back with a new fire in your belly, and you can kind of look at the songs a bit more objectively sometimes, rather than just you're doing it as your live stage show. You can kind of come back and find new kind of nuance in the songs you didn't know.
Yeah, I think also the audiences. I've done a couple of gigs back now myself, and
Oh yeah, nice.
I think the audiences have there seems to be a renewed vigor for live music just because of they've missed it.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Yeah, they've watched everything on Netflix now, so
There's nothing left to do.
Completed Netflix.
Yeah.
Zoom meetings everywhere.
Yeah, Zoom gigs don't work, do they?
No. Well, yeah. Johnny was having a go at me because I hadn't updated Zoom, and we were like, "We got the link from you guys." I was like, "Oh no, it's got to update," and I was like, "Oh, we're going to ruin the whole interview. It's not going to happen." But we're here now, so it's all good.
We sort of, I mean, as far as the TV station, we've sort of been just doing these interviews on Zoom, and it's been kind of nice to sort of have a chat with people where you kind of more maybe normally be kind of, be playing a lot more. It's kind of nice to sort of get the sort of story behind the bands and what the thoughts are and stuff, and how they do things, and that's kind of it. So I think there's been a lot more talking done, which is good to a certain extent, but at some point we're going to have to get back out there and do it. So what are your plans for getting back to gigs? Did you have any gigs in the diary?
To be honest, like most bands, we've pretty much have to write off everything for this year. I've still got quite a lot of my contacts, so we're waiting on them to kind of to see when it's open again.
Well, no one really knows. It's at some point next year, probably mid to late next year. So,
but I mean, there are talks when we've got a couple of generators knocking around that I could get hold of. We might go and do a couple of guerilla gigs outside, but we're keeping that under wraps for now. We'll have to decide when we do that and then launch it.
It wouldn't be guerilla if you told us all now, would it?
Well, it kind of ruined the vibe.
But I think that's going to be. It'd be interesting if you only get a chance to sort of play outdoors, and if you got generators, you can go anywhere you want. You could really put on some really interesting.
Well, I've got a few ideas, in my head. I can't really divulge too much more, but I think it'd be good. Yeah, I mean, like we a couple of bands on the scene with us do kind of the similar thing. We used to play a lot of like squat gigs and punk gigs in Brighton in like used spaces and things, but it's obviously too small to do that now, and I don't really want to put an audience at risk. And even if we did do it, I'm not sure if that many people would come. And it's just a bit of that kind of thing. But outside, I think that'd be perfect.
It's just obviously we're in the UK, so
well,
weather-wise,
we've got some teepees, we've got some tents.
yeah, the nice weather's gone now.
Yeah, kind of the summer's done that, but watch this space.
What were your childhoods like as far as music? Were you all musicians from a young age?
Well, Johnny's like a proper classical musician, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I grew up all around music, and my parents were both musicians. And
okay.
Very disappointed he's in a punk band. But it's good. Johnny has like the real technical side of things. Yeah. I mean, me and Tom are sort of more felt our way around music, I guess you could say.
Yeah, maybe.
You're also quite technical. I'm very much self-taught and very much I've just kind of learned my own way, essentially, which has been a blessing and sometimes a curse. But you can come at it from a different angle. So these guys are more the technical guys. I'm more the untrained guy.
Well, I think that's a good balance. I did hear that in the music. You can hear there's the arrangements, and there's a bit more musicality than maybe you get from some punk bands. It doesn't seem like you're just straightforward punk, and I kind of really like that.
We really try not to tie it down to any genres. Essentially, it's kind of like I'd let the song go wherever it wants to go, kind of thing. We put our own Sweet Jonny kind of brand over whatever we do, but yeah, I like to just let it do what it wants to do, let it go where it wants to go, kind of thing. Song.
It's right up my street, to be fair. I mean, it's just stuff I was really it's like of all the, when I get to interview and I get to sort of do a bit of a deeper dive into bands I wouldn't necessarily have seen, I might make some great discoveries, and you guys are definitely on that list.
I'm glad you like it, mate.
So we'd love to get you in, when we get the studio up and running, and we're back sort of when I'm away my front room. We can actually do some proper live sessions. It'd be great to have you in. But so what sort of so did you start on as a band? Did you start on the Brighton scene? Was that kind of
we're originally from like all little small towns like Burgess Hill and Hayward Heath. That's kind of our original areas, and it was kind of born out of these small towns have no music scene. So we just literally kind of, my first band was Red Eight, just literally kind of created it out of that and started gigging, putting shows on, and then moved to Brighton and putting that out for Johnny. Managed to find Johnny, and we've never really looked back from there. We used to practice in like a shared house in a basement that I kind of converted. I just put a drum kit in there and some amps, and then we swiftly moved out of that house. But that's kind of our vibe. That's the kind of the way we started, and we've kind of carried on that way. Although we play professionally now.
So you lived upstairs and rehearsed that. That's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not for anyone else, but it was for me.
It's a nightmare neighbours, but it's a dream.
Yeah, well, it seems to not be able to avoid that wherever we go. But no, we use studios now. We use studios.
When you got going and got playing live, I know that Brighton's kind of known for his music scene, and it's a really eclectic scene as well, isn't it? How did you find that the scene influenced what you were doing, or were you really sort of hell-bent on what you were doing?
We've always been outsiders, unfortunately. When the Brighton scene didn't really like us or accept us, so we just put on our own shows. I ran a promotions company, and we just built our own studio. We built our own kind of scene out of that. We run Mother Knows Best Fest each year, like a collection of all the bands that we like, that we play with. So we really kind of struck out our own thing, didn't we? I mean, we used to do
Yeah, for some reason, like, we just didn't sit well with the Brighton promoters, and so we played their shows and stuff, but they didn't like we didn't click, so we didn't like get invited back at the time.
Yeah, we didn't really fit into any of the molds essentially, or it just for us it was easier to do our own thing. I think where you're able to put on who you want, play the shows you want, organise it in a way that kind of like has a bit more of a party kind of vibe sort of thing.
Tell us more about the Mother Knows Best Fest. Where's that?
We do that up and down the country. We usually do it either in Brighton at a great studio called Campbell Road Studios. We had Slobheads on there last year with us actually, and we do it in Addlestone sometimes. Yeah,
we had the Slobheads on here.
Yeah.
Great lads, aren't they?
Great, really good. Definitely in keeping. We really like the sound and stuff. We really work well as kind of like a two-part band. It's really good.
So so you were saying you sort of do it as and when.
Yeah, it's we usually do it once a year. And it's just a big party, like all the bands that we like, all the people we've met through the year, everyone comes down. And it's just like it's just a really good show basically. You went to, what was the first one you came to?
I came to.
Not the first gig you played. This the first Mother Knows Best Fest was the Addlestone one with Danny Dangerous.
Yeah, it must have been.
I'm going to lean you over because I can see you coming out the Zoom call.
Yeah, that was what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I think so.
So yeah, it works. Yeah, we just kind of build it and then go from there.
It seems like it's a really good scene around. There's loads of, when I was talking to Slobheads, it seems to be a real sort of brotherhood amongst all the bands and all sort of looking out for each other, and kind of it seems to be a really good vibe. And it sort of seems to stretch quite far and wide. Have you found that? Because I know you've sort of done a bit of travelling around. Have you found that other bands and how has that been?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone who sort of comes to our shows has almost become like a mate kind of thing. So be they bands that we play with on the bill, be they people who are like in the audience or whatever. It's real kind of like scene building from grassroots, which is really good. Yeah. You know, you meet a band, you play with that band, their mates become your mates, and everyone just kind of, it's the same vibe.
You can see how an audience member or just a music lover of that, could really get engrossed in that scene, because you can see that the sort of love for the music and love for the gigs and the energy and just love of having a good time seems to really come out of all the bands that I've come across over the years. Is that something you found, that you see a lot of the same faces in the audience as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it sounds a cliche, but as soon as that kind of music takes hold, it just encompasses like the whole room. If you get it right, everyone's on the same vibe. You vibe off the audience, and you're all sort of in a silly way one. and that spurs you on. So yeah, you can't beat it. You can't beat that live vibe, 100%.
It seems like you guys are sort of the energy in your gigs is definitely something that comes through.
Yeah, 100%. It's, I mean, even the early shows, like you on drums, like it's just a full-on assault, basically, wasn't it? We've had to reel it in a little bit and define it a little bit now. The early shows were just a bit not sloppy, but just raucous and like not really caring about
balls to the wall.
Yeah, not really caring about everything that we should have been caring about. But
none of the gear worked. None of the songs went the right way. But
but the vibe was there.
Energy.
Yeah, the vibe was there. So it was. We've kind of use that to advantage. You know, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. You know, you've got to have that. That's something, that fire in your belly to give that performance. And it's not fake for us. We get on there and we do it, and it is just how it goes for us, which is great.
And how do you guys write? Do you write, Johnny? Do you write the song and bring it, or is it something you all do together? What's sort of the process of that?
Mainly Tom does it lyrically and I guess
structure.
Yeah. You'll have a song idea, and then you'll take that to the practice room, and then you'll say, oh, like, Johnny, what can you do over this? And then you'll play it, and then I'll say, oh, how about that? And if it's not what you thought, you're like, maybe something else, and then we'll just keep
thrashing it out.
Yeah, just seeing what sounds good, really.
That's it. Sometimes it'll be like a fully fledged kind of idea I'll have. Other times it will be like a little piece of a song, or just anything which I think is worth recording, and even anything I don't think is worth recording, kind of record it all down on a phone, and then we bring it all together, kind of thing. But yeah, it's mostly to get it right is in the studio, to get it all completely worked out. But yeah, I think like what you said is pretty much it.
Excellent. I've been looking at your Spotify, and I noticed another Throwaway Love Song. You have like 11,000 plays on that song, and it's the most plays you have. I mean, this is one of the issues that I've found with my music, and a lot of bands find is getting those plays up. What happened with that song? How was it?
Another Throwaway Song it's one that's always been real like popular on our live sets. It's off of like the first professional EP we did. Until that point, we released another single, Crack of the Whip, which is the lead single on the album. That was like the main single. But we were asked, I was sort of promoting it around the place, and we were asked by an American company, we really like the song. Can we take this on and like put it on a couple of radio stations? And it really worked, obviously, in a couple of indie playlists. I think it was on Spotify as well. And it just, that one just like took right off. Which is nice, because it's sort of like a balance between, we have like the loud and quiet in the band, but like not every song kind of sounds like another Throwaway song. So it's quite a nice showpiece to do that every now and again, I guess, in that kind of that vibe of that song. But yeah, that's how it happened, basically.
But it seems that sort of playlist thing is kind of, that's to get on those playlists is better than any sort of radio plays a lot of the time. And because I had this thing, I noticed one of my songs on my solo stuff was kind of had like sort of 6,000 more plays than the rest of them. It turns out it'd been included on a user playlist, just a normal Spotify listener, and that's so powerful. But I mean, do you do anything specific to get your stuff out there?
Well, this is something we need to look more into, really, as a band. Like we said, since that happened, we're like, that's great. This is what we should be doing all the time. In a way, it's silly. It's a shame that everyone has to count views. Of course, that is the standard that the industry goes by now, and it's almost like everything else takes second place to that. It's an easy thing to judge a band on. But you have to play the game. So yeah, it's a balance between like not getting your head too into the numbers, but at the same point, you don't use that as a measure of success. But yeah, we're looking into more ways of, because you've got to move with the times,
Well, I think this is the issue. I think I've come up a few times on this on these interviews, is that bands having to also have to think about the business side of it, because it's such a pain in the arse. And before, you'd have a record label manager, you'd have a PR team, and all that sort of taken care of by the business heads. But now we've kind of got to do all that stuff ourselves. I mean, that's just, I find that really, because it's, you know, the artistic brain is not really geared towards the business side of things naturally. It's not really two things don't go hand in hand very, very easily. But is that something that you guys keep an eye on? I mean, do you have any, is any one of you specifically better at that kind of stuff?
I mean, me and Johnny handle most of the.
So you've got a bit of a wheeler dealer instinct.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
The Del Boy, the Del Boy of the band.
That's it. Yeah, Del Boy traits certainly, but yeah, which is good when you're selling merch at shows and stuff, you know, because you always get a good discount from Backshore, and you always get you know, he's you know, bundle deals and stuff like that to get the merch out the door. But it doesn't translate so well to like Spotify plays, because you don't have like the
you can't haggle with Spotify.
But I'd say I'm the guy that does the speculation for the work for the gigs, gets the gigs and organises the tours and organises the people kind of work. Johnny's very good with the analytics and the email side and the most of the computer work, I'd say.
Yeah.
And Tom just sits around.
I just play the bass, mate.
Just plays the bass. And...
Well, these guys, you know, you've been doing it for what, 6-7 years?
Yeah.
And I only joined 2 years ago, so you've already got that system going, and it works really well. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Why don't upset the apple cart? Exactly. It ain't broke and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, what sort of would you say has been the sort of highlight of the band life so far, your career so far?
European tour.
Yeah, for me, definitely me, the tour. What about you, Johnny?
Tats out.
Yeah. Sweet Jonny, I can't even get my arm out. You show me. European tour. You can't really
class
over my camera on a Zoom meeting. It's never going to. Yeah, I think the tour.
Have to send us a photo. We'll put a close up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Euro tour was great actually.
Yeah.
So how long was that?
That was 6 dates. Started in London. I'm looking at the poster now. London, Cologne, Czech Republic. We did a festival in Dresden. Played a house party. Berlin, Wild at Heart, and Belgium, B52 Music Club. So yeah, that was.
So how did you find Germany?
Bonkers. It was great.
Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. They couldn't give you enough free drinks and free food. It was just, it's how you want a show to go. You like look out on the audience everywhere. You just saw all these little fag ends out there, like hundreds of people throwing bog roll around. Like we didn't even come on till about like 12:30. We got there at like 6:30 and we were like a bit knackered at that point. They're like, oh, okay, yeah.
You've driven all the way from fucking Czech Republic.
Yeah, so Czech Republic to Berlin was quite a drive. And then we had our food and they were like, oh, so, you know, we expected to start about 9 or 10 o'clock the gig. And they're like, so you guys are headline, you on at 1 o'clock. Like, okay, right, better settle in for the long haul then.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah. It was a proper DIY tour. But yeah, you wouldn't change it for the world. It was great.
That's kind of what it's all about, isn't it? Just getting out on the road and doing it like that. It's just fantastic. What was the Czech Republic like? I've never been there. I've never played there.
Yeah, it was really good. It was surprising. We thought it was because it's quite close to Russia. Obviously, it's a little bit Eastern Bloc feel to it. We did
Pilsen. They had a festival that in the whole town was like had stages all through it. Pilsen, the home of Pilsner lagers, obviously. So they had great beer, which Czech Republic's famous for.
They're very proud of that.
And yeah, it was great. We got some free accommodation. We had great audience.
Really nice people as well.
Yeah, there's a video actually on our Instagram of us on the stage there. But yeah, it was it's good. Like the harder we went, the more they liked it, sort of thing. We thought some of our tracks would be a little bit too hard or maybe not right for the audience, but the harder the songs, the harder they went for it. So
it seems that like that sort of part of Europe, getting around there, there's so many great gigs to be had, and there's some great audiences that just love the live music, and it seems like a great place to get out on the road and travel around. So I mean, have you got more plans to get out there again? Next year or whenever we're allowed.
We want to sort out the next Belgian one because we were asked to come back by a band, and we're probably going to do a swap tour. I'd also like to do an English one. Maybe there's a couple of bands we know at the moment that are talking about doing one. was going to get in touch with Slobheads as well, and maybe see they've got a few mates in Scotland, and so we could do maybe a little Northern England tour. And they've also got some links in Spain, in which we've got to follow up on. Our mate is Spanish, Jesus, his mates run some bars. So there's a couple of things on the cards, and like I say, my mate in New York as well. It'd be really good to go over there. But yeah, it's kind of fitting it all in and making it work. But at the moment, I literally haven't planned anything for next year until I know what's going on.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird sort of suspended animation time, isn't it? Kind of everything's kind of like we're just waiting, and there seems to be a lot of people booking things for next year as if the virus just goes away in 2021, you know. But so we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, but well, we've come to the recommendation part of the show. So we always ask people for recommendation of a band that they may not know, but they do need to know. So who is your recommendation, Sweet Jonny?
Well, I'll go first. I've got a couple on my mind. Obviously, Slobheads, good boys. GYB as well. We play with GYB a lot. Butane Regulators as well. And I'm also say Danny Dangerous. 100% check him out. He's an absolutely bonkers one-man band. Great. What about you? Got any in mind?
The only one I can think of is Money. But it's just all capitals, Money, like cash. They're from Manchester, and they're really fucking good.
And Johnny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've said all the ones I was going to say, really.
You back Danny Dangerous, wouldn't you?
Yeah, great show.
Yeah,
it's a good time with Danny Dangerous every time.
He'd be bonkers in an interview as well. So,
well, I'll definitely get him on.
Yeah, I'd like to see him being interviewed by you. That would be good.
So we'll put links to all these guys in the description. Obviously, links to all your stuff too, so people can check you out. I've been really enjoying listening to your stuff, and I'm really grateful that I got a chance to take a deeper dive into and meet you guys, have a chat. So, would love to have you on again, get you into studio when we're up and running again and everything's back to normal. But for now, it's this sort of Zoom thing, you know. So, but listen, thanks for taking the time out and being on.
No worries, man.
Fantastic chatting to you.
Yeah,
and good luck with everything you're doing. It's and good luck with the album. I look forward to hearing some singles from it. So people can check your socials, YouTube, and for all the details of that. So connect to Sweet Jonny and check these guys out. They're well worth a listen. And thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And just let us know about the studio whenever it opens again. That'd be great.
Lovely. All right.
Cheers,
thanks
very much, mate.
All right, take care. Cheers now. Bye bye.
Take care.